Chapter 3. White Gold Mist. The conference hall was steadily filling with people adjusting cables, testing microphones, and checking tabs on tablets. Work chatter blended into a low hum. Chen Lian stood by the side of the stage, sorting through her printed notes. Her hair was tied back simply, sleeves rolled up, her focus practical. Chen Yuxin came up beside her, carrying a box of laser pointers and extra markers. "You good? Need help with the slides?" Mei Xue rushed in, slightly breathless, still adjusting the conference badge clipped to her collar. Chen Lian looked over immediately. "Mei Xue, finally, what happened?" Mei Xue winced. "Don't ask. The bus got stuck behind a VIP motorcade. I swear, half the city stops when someone important sneezes." Chen Yuxin snorted. "Sounds about right." Before anyone could chuckle further, Miss Qiao's voice cut through, crisp and cool. "You're 10 minutes late, Mei Xue. We needed all hands." Mei Xue straightened instinctively. "I know, I'm really sorry." "But sorry doesn't fix the delay," Miss Qiao interrupted. "If you can't manage time properly for a major institutional event." Mei Xue lowered her head, embarrassed. Chen Lian spoke before the reprimand could continue, calm but firm. "She's here now, and we're caught up. The visual calibrations are done, the projector is tested, and the slides are in final order. We're fine." Miss Qiao raised a brow. "Professionalism includes punctuality." Chen Yuxin stepped in gently. "Miss Qiao, the audience hasn't even begun seating. We're still on schedule." She stiffened, then redirected instead of escalating. "Just make sure this doesn't happen again." Mei Xue gave a small nod. "Understood." When Miss Qiao walked away to check the stage mic, Mei Xue muttered under her breath. Her sense of authority could vacuum seal oxygen. Chen Lian suppressed a laugh. "She just wants everything perfect." "Perfect?" Mei Xue blinked. "She wants it militarily perfect." Yuxin chuckled. "To be fair, the foundation director is very picky, and Chen Lian's talk is one of the highlights." Chen Lian exhaled softly. "No pressure, right?" Mei Xue looped her arm through Chen Lian's. "You'll be fine. You always talk like you're walking the audience through a painting. You make people feel like they're inside the color." A staff assistant leaned in, apologetic. "Chen Lian, we'll start seating in 7 minutes." She nodded. "Got it." As the assistant walked off, Chen Yuxin squeezed her shoulder. "Little sister, you've got this. Just talk like you're sharing something you love, not presenting something you fear." Chen Lian drew a steady breath. "Yeah, that I can do." Mei Xue straightened the badge on her chest. "And after your talk is over, Miss Qiao can go hydrate that attitude of hers." Chen Lian nudged her with an elbow. "Be nice." "I am nice," Mei Xue defended dramatically. "I'm just not quiet." They exchanged a quick grin, the kind only close colleagues share, before the scene shifted toward the impending start. The distant hum of arriving guests, mic testing echoes, and muffled announcements signaled that the moment was near. The corridor leading to the seminar hall stretched ahead, like a narrowing funnel of fluorescent light and footsteps. Nurses, interns, visitors, colors shifting in Lin Zeyuan's perception, like restless static. All moving, all thinking, all radiating emotional hues that made endurance a discipline. Dr. Han Yao walked beside him, hands clasped behind his back, with composed authority. "Zeyuan," he said gently, "I'll be there with you the whole time. If anything feels overwhelming, you don't have to manage it alone." Lin Zeyuan nodded, small, restrained. Han Yao continued, his voice calm with intent. "I'll be noting your reactions, not to judge, but to understand. You're not a patient, you're a participant. And I think you also want to be normal around people, don't you?" Silence followed. Lin Zeyuan didn't speak aloud, but his faint exhale was answer enough. Yes, he did. They turned the corner, more people now, more colors, more breath and movement. A group of interns crossed in front of them. Zeyuan's eyes flickered down to the floor instinctively. Han Yao didn't scold, didn't rush. He walked slowly enough to let him adjust. By the time they reached the doors of the seminar hall, The crowd was thicker. Conversations blurred into a low, indistinct murmur. And then his eyes found her. Chen Lian stood on the stage, adjusting the microphone gently. The slight rise and fall of her shoulders marked her steadying breaths. Nervous but composed, and all around her, only one color radiated. White gold, soft and calm, like a quiet dawn diffused. She stood at the podium now, the silver pendant at her throat catching the light like a quiet promise. Her face was composed, the kind of calm that only barely concealed the tremor of nerves beneath. Long dark hair framed her features with unstudied elegance, and her eyes, steady though shadowed with anticipation, carried the weight of someone who knew the importance of this moment. Yet for him, the one watching, this was not the first time he had seen her. Hours earlier, when the hall was empty and silent, she had stood alone near the tall window, sunlight pouring around her like a benediction. In that solitude, she had seemed radiant, almost otherworldly, as though the white gold mist that shimmered in the air belonged to her alone. He had thought then that she was untouchable, a vision carved from light. Now, as she faced the crowd, he found himself comparing the two versions of her. The ethereal figure bathed in sunlight, and the poised woman gathering courage at the podium. The contrast was striking, yet it only deepened his fascination. She was no longer just a vision, she was flesh and will, nerves and confidence intertwined. The mist he had seen before seemed to linger invisibly around her, transformed into the quiet storm of her presence. For him, the moment was not about the speech she was about to give, but about the revelation of her duality. Radiant in solitude, formidable in public. And in that fragile balance of vulnerability and assurance, she became magnetic, captivating him with an attention he had never before given to any woman. The upper gallery remained half-lit, its narrow flight of steps curving along the wall toward a quiet stretch above the main hall. Rows of seats lay mostly untouched, shadowed and distant from the gathering below. Footsteps echoed softly as Zeyuan and Han Yao entered. From beneath them, the seminar hall breathed with life. Voices overlapped, colors bloomed, restless orange, flickering violet, threads of green weaving through clusters of conversation. Lin Zeyuan's gaze dropped instantly, not to faces, but to the polished wood floor. It was still, predictable, safe. He walked close to the railing yet never looked over it, each step measured and controlled, as though one glance might unravel everything pressing at the edge of his mind. Han Yao followed a step behind, silent and observant. They reached the last row, empty as expected. Zeyuan chose a seat near the aisle, close to the exit, as he always did. For a moment, he kept his head lowered, breathing steady, counting each inhale and exhale. Then, something shifted. He looked up, not toward the crowd, not toward the noise, but toward the stage. Chen Lian stood at the podium, small from this distance, framed by light. And in that instant, everything else dimmed. The colors that had pressed so violently against his senses only moments ago receded, faint and distant, like echoes behind a closed door. Around her, there was only one presence, a soft, white gold mist. It did not pulse, did not clash, did not demand. It simply remained. Lin Zeyuan's breath faltered. What is this? Below, someone laughed. A brief spike of color flared, then dulled again. Yet his focus did not break. Han Yao noticed, not the stage, not Chen Lian, but him. Lin Zeyuan wasn't shrinking into himself, wasn't shielding, wasn't looking away. He was still. Completely still. For Han Yao, it was almost disbelief. He's not reacting. On stage, Chen Lian adjusted the microphone, a small habitual movement. Her gaze lifted once, sweeping across the hall. It passed over the lower seats, then briefly toward the upper gallery. A pause, so slight it could be missed. Two figures sat there, one of them watching. Something felt different, but she didn't linger. Her focus returned. The room settled, light softened, and she began. When we look at a piece of art, she said, her voice carrying upward with ease, we often think we are simply seeing what is in front of us. But that is not entirely true. Lin Zeyuan didn't move. Perception isn't direct. The thought surfaced immediately, clear and automatic, but he didn't chase it. He kept listening. What we see is never just the artwork itself, Chen Lian continued. It is shaped by something far more personal, our memory. Memory-linked perception, affective encoding. The terms aligned effortlessly in his mind, familiar, precise, yet something about them felt different. Usually when people spoke, their emotions bled through, distorting meaning, overwhelming it. But here, her words and what surrounded her did not conflict, they matched. The white gold mist remained steady, unbroken. Lin Zeyuan leaned forward, barely. His fingers loosened against his knee, a habit breaking without his awareness. Every color, every line, every shadow, she said, passes through what we have already lived. Associative recall. His mind responded before she finished, but this time it didn't feel like a correction. It felt like recognition. Below, the audience remained attentive. Colors flickered faintly, but distant, unobtrusive. For the first time, they did not press against him. Dr. Han Yao's gaze sharpened. Lin Zeyuan hadn't looked down again, not once. He's maintaining eye contact. Impossible. I am not from a psychological field, Chen Lian admitted with a slight pause. But while preparing for this talk, I came across something simple. That the human mind does not store memories as facts alone. It stores them with feeling, emotional memory, subconscious association. Lin Zeyuan's breathing slowed, steady and even. The pressure behind his eyes was absent. No surge, no collision of color, only that quiet, constant glow around her. So, when we see something familiar, she said, even if we don't consciously recognize it, our mind responds first. Before logic, pre-conscious response. The term surfaced, but softer. For once, he wasn't fighting to think. He was simply following. Dr. Han Yao exhaled slowly, controlled, but his eyes never left Lin Zeyuan. This isn't normal. He should be overwhelmed. Why isn't he overwhelmed? On stage, Chen Lian continued unaware. And in the quiet space above the hall, for the first time in years, Lin Zeyuan did not feel the need to escape. He stayed, not because he forced himself to, but because something in her presence made the world bearable. Just enough. The applause settles slowly, not loud, not overwhelming, just enough to fill the space Chen Lian leaves behind as her final words fade. He watches her, poised yet faintly trembling, silver pendant catching the light. Confidence born of nerves, sharpened by resolve. He remembers, earlier, sunlight had carved her into radiance, a vision gilded in white gold mist. Facing the crowd, she is different and fragile yet unyielding, human and formidable all at once. The silence holds until a voice cuts through. A man in his late 50s rises, glasses glinting, eyes sharp. Miss Chen, your perspective is thoughtful, but I wonder, isn't it too subjective? The room is still again. His tone is not hostile, but testing, and the watcher feels the tension sharpen. Her radiance by the window, her poise at the podium, now pressed against the weight of challenge. Doesn't that reduce art to nothing more than projection? A few murmurs ripple through the audience. Agreement, curiosity, unease. On the upper gallery, Lin Zeyuan doesn't move, yet his gaze narrows, a flicker of steel beneath calm restraint. He recognizes the familiar critique, subjectivity against authorial intent. His mind is already arranging the counter-argument before she even speaks. Below, Chen Lian listens, fully. No interruption. Her posture holds, unguarded, open. Just a small, acknowledging nod. Chen Lian said, "It's a fair question." Her voice remains steady, unchanged. Chen Lian continues, "The artist gives the work its form, its structure, its language." She pauses not in hesitation, but in deliberate placement. At the corner near the stage, Chen Yuxin shifts. Her elder brother's hands tighten against his sides, knuckles pale. Nervousness flickers across his face, protective, restrained, unwilling to break her moment, yet unable to hide the weight of worry. Beside him, Mei Xue leans forward slightly. Her best friend's composure steadies her, but her own breath catches. Anxious eyes dart between Chen Lian and the professor, silently urging strength, silently fearing the crack that might come. This way, Chen Yuxin's protective nervousness and Mei Xue's anxious loyalty add another layer of tension, grounding Chen Lian's poise against the emotional stakes of those closest to her. The applause had faded into a hush, leaving only the weight of expectation in the hall. "Without that," she said, calm and deliberate, "there would be nothing for us to respond to." The professor's gaze remained fixed on her, sharp but not hostile. Chen Lian did not flinch. Her posture stayed open, her tone unwavering. But meaning, her eyes sweeping lightly across the room, doesn't remain fixed. She did not avoid, nor did she confront. She was simply present, her words balanced between fragility and strength. "Once the work is seen," she said, "it no longer belongs only to the artist." In the upper gallery, Lin Zeyuan's thoughts aligned quietly with hers. He recognized the familiar debate, subjectivity against authorial intent, but he did not pull away. His gaze sharpened, attentive, as though weighing each syllable. Near the stage, Chen Yuxin shifted, his hands tightening against his sides. The elder brother's nerves betrayed him. Protective worry etched itself into the lines of his face. He wanted to shield her, to step forward, but he held back, knowing this was her moment. Beside him, Mei Xue leaned forward, anxious eyes fixed on her friend. Pride and fear tangled in her chest. She bit her lip, silently urging Chen Lian to hold steady, silently fearing the crack that might come. Chen Lian's voice carried on, unbroken. It becomes something shared, between intention and perception. A faint stillness settled over the hall, as though the air itself had paused to listen. Then, softly, she added, "Perhaps art is not meant to give us a single answer." Her head tilted slightly, a gesture of quiet resolve, and in that moment, her poise was not only her own, but it was also reflected in the nervous breath of her brother, the anxious loyalty of her friend, and the sharpened focus of the man watching from above. The words linger in the air, quiet but firm. It allows the artist to ask a question, and the viewer to answer it in their own way. For a moment, silence holds. Then the professor nods, slowly, not defeated, but acknowledging. The applause rises again, warmer this time, carrying a different weight than before. Up in the gallery, Dr. Han Yao does not join. A small notebook rests in his hand, his pen moving quickly and precisely. Maintained visual focus throughout. No visible sensory overload response. Breathing stabilized within the first 3 minutes. No avoidance behavior observed. His pen pauses. He glances toward Lin Zeyuan, who is still, focused. No withdrawal. No defensive posture. Another line follows. Stimulus tolerance significantly increased in the subject's presence. He does not write her name, but he underlines the last word once, deliberately. Below, Chen Lian steps back from the podium. The session draws to its close. She inclines her head slightly. "Thank you for listening," she says, her voice steady. Then, with a calm gesture, she adds, "I'd like to invite Mr. Chen Yuxin to share a few words regarding the museum and today's purpose." Movement resumes. Chen Yuxin rises from the front row, composed and professional, already prepared for the closing segment. As he approaches the stage, Chen Lian steps aside. For the first time since the beginning, her gaze drifts upward. Just a second. She finds him, the same still figure in the gallery, distant, quiet, watching. Something about it lingers, but before the thought can form, he stands. No hesitation, no pause. He turns and walks toward the exit, gone. Chen Lian's eyes follow only for a fraction longer. Then she looks away. Her expression does not change, yet beneath it, something unspoken settles, quiet and unresolved. Han Yao's eyes lingered on the empty seat. His brows tightened. He left on his own. It wasn't the reaction he had anticipated. Not triggered, not overwhelmed, no visible signs of strain, just gone. His grip on the notebook firmed slightly, the paper bending under his fingers. Was it too much, or just enough? The question pressed against him, heavier than the words he had written. For now he stayed still. He didn't call after him, didn't follow. The silence of restraint held him in place. Because, for the first time, Han Yao wasn't certain what he had just witnessed. Author note: sometimes the most powerful response is not certainty, but the pause that lingers after. Until next time, may your questions find their own light.